What's up, y'all? Really special edition of Mail Call here on the Big Bass Streams channel. As you guys can see, got some new toys to field test and put to work out here on the Eastbound and Up tour. We're gonna run through each one of these rods with a brief description, the kind of baits I like to fish on them, and give you guys a little bit more insight for those of you that are real curious about the new 2018 Megabass Orochi XX series. At that $300 price point, you get that incredible Megabass attention to detail, Japanese styling. Alright, we're going to jump this off with the F4.5 611 jerkbait special. This is a 6'11" rod, 8 to 20 pound, and as it is aptly named, is an incredible jerkbait, 110, shiner, and topwater rod. Honestly, I feel like it fishes this Pop Max in particular really well. But any of the hanging hard bait, treble hook baits, Diamante, like I said, shiner, 110. This rod right here is gonna be the bee's knees for those applications. Alright. What I'm really excited about, funny enough, being a big bait guy, are the spinning rods here. And one of my favorite rods in the old XX lineup was the Stinger Shot. Well, I believe that's now been replaced with this F3 611 Whip Snake. This is rated 5 to 12 pound line, 1/16 to 3/8 ounce lures, and this rod is going to excel at all your super finesse presentations. Drop shotting, Neko rig, Okashira screw head, anything small Hazadong shads. If you need a super finesse rod to present your baits, the Whip Snake is going to get it done. It's a pretty cool name too. Like, I'm going to miss the Stinger Shot, but I think I'm going to love the Whip Snake. Alright, next spinning rod I got up here. Let's save that one. Next spinning rod I have here is the F3.5 7-foot shaky head special. This is a rod I'm going to throw that 1/4 ounce to 3/8 ounce jig head with. Underspins, dark sleeper, weightless dot crawler, Neko rig dot crawler. Things with a little bit more beef. This is going to be on a little bit higher end of the spinning rod application. It's rated 5 to 16 pound. So for guys like me that like fishing like 12, 15 pound leaders on my spinning setups, Kobe wouldn't approve, but it is what it is. This is an incredible rod. 4-inch spark shad, 1/4 ounce war baits, standard jig head, underspin. This is the deal. And dark sleeper rod too. This is a pretty versatile rod out of the spinning rod setup. So if you were to limit yourself to one spinning rod to start, it'd be hard pressed for me not to recommend the Shaky Head Special. But one of my favorite spinning rods in the XX lineup is this bad boy right there. Meant to pick up the Ronin. And this is an F4 6'8" spinning rod that was designed specifically with the jerkbait in mind. If you guys ask me what gear I like to throw a 110, if you guys ask me what kind of gear I like to throw my Ito 110s on, it's by far the Ronin. Like, hands down, it's my favorite. You put a 3000 size spinning reel on this thing, you can fire off these jerk baits and work them with this little bit shorter handle, a little bit shorter rod, all day long for days on end, like we've been doing on these road trips. It's also a great rod for any of the smaller hard baits that might be more difficult to cast on a conventional, like a baby Pop X or a flap slap. This thing wings a flap slap. Any of the new small hard baits, you know, I haven't fished a Sonic side yet, but I'm thinking it's going to fish really well on the Ronin, as well as the standard Pop X and the Wiggle Griffin. Anything that's kind of below that 1/4 ounce size range, that's just hard to fish on that heavier bait casting gear, the Ronin is superb for finesse hard baits. And it sounds weird, but trust me, once you start throwing your hard baits and catching fish on the Ronin, it'll be really difficult for you to go back. So this is an f4.5 7'4" enforcer. This is a serious rod, and this model is brand new for the 2018 lineup here. Those of you guys on the West Coast, like myself, that grew up fishing light finesse Carolina rigs, are gonna love this rod. Slip shot rigs, tube fishermen, gosh, anytime you need a long cast, like I think this might be like a sick jig head underspin rod as well for the bigger stuff. And the nice thing about this whole series is it's got a little bit of a guide here. Kind of makes it easy to select a rod. What does it say? So in particular, the boys at Megabass suggest fishing tubes and weightless plastics like a dot crawler. But even like a weightless plastic like a Magnum Hazedong, which has got quite a bit of beef and weight to it, this rod should handle it quite nicely. So excited to get this thing wet the right way and get it bent. See what it does. On to the casting rods. This bad boy right here is the F572 Swingfire. I'm really excited about this version of the Swingfire. At 7'2" and F5 power, this is a rod that they designed with more of a glass feel to it, and now it's got a little bit more beef and it shuts off a little bit faster, but still has a nice parabolic action. So topwater baits, shallow square bill style baits, S-crank, the Sonic side, Diamante, X-Pod. The Swingfire actually excels as a short compact cranking rod too. So if you're in and around cover or throwing cranks at targets like brush or trees, laydowns, all the same thing. My brain just doesn't work very well right now. If you're throwing cranks at docks, for instance, and you want a little bit shorter rod, the Swingfire really excels. Some of the guys like fishing a Deep X 300 on this rod. It also fishes all three sizes of the S-crank really well. Very underrated as a topwater rod. So try various topwater baits with this thing. The nice thing about that soft action is once you penetrate those hooks, it keeps them pinned. Fish have a hard time shaking off with this thing. What we have here is the F572 Diablo Spec R. Now this is a superb spinnerbait, buzzbait rod, fishing lipless baits like the Vibration X through the grass when you need a little bit more rod to help rip that vegetation off the treble hooks. And this is the F6 7-foot Tour Versatile. As the name implies, this is probably the most versatile rod in the XX lineup. It's a little bit of a faster taper. You can fish worms, jigs, small swim baits, spark shads, all kinds of stuff on the Tour Versatile. What else do you like throwing on this thing, Kobe?
I personally throw underspin, a little bit of a bigger 3/8 half ounce underspin.
Bigger
even a
underspins.
1/4 ounce.
Okay. Maybe big body balance head,
Mm-hmm.
spark shad. It probably fishes the 6-inch mag draft really well, honestly.
Yes. Yeah, it probably would be fine with something
Especially
that
tight
size.
quarters,
Mhm.
7-foot little roll cast.
It works well for tubes and stuff like that too.
Who fishes tubes? Tube fishing. Alright, back to the goods. The F4.5 7-foot flat side special. This is another hard bait rod here, and although the guys don't really recommend it, I like fishing some of the bigger hard baits like the Kanata and the Grenade on this thing. It's a little bit more rod than the Swingfire and the Jerkbait special. It's still got enough strength for me to cast those baits, but also soft enough to keep those big treble hooks pinned on these bigger fish I'm targeting with those bigger hard baits. This is also one of my favorite rods for fishing the bigger X-Pod. The full-size X-Pod fishes superbly on this bad boy. And anytime you need to have a little bit more beef, if you're targeting bigger fish in and around cover, you can throw like a bigger S-crank, the 2.0s on this thing. Anytime you need a rod with a little bit more beef for treble hook applications, look to the flat side special. What we have here is one of my favorite rods in the entire XX series, and that's the Extreme Mission Type F. It's an F5, 7'5", a little bit longer rod, got a nice tip, just real versatile. I love throwing all kinds of stuff on this. I'll throw a weightless dock crawler, I'll throw a dart sleeper, I'll throw spark shads on body balance heads, war baits heads. Guys that fish tubes or bigger tubes would probably like this. I like throwing the bigger, heavier dark sleepers on this rod, bigger underspins, you name it. You know, this is just a really nice rod. It really loads up well for casting and hook sets and keeps those bigger fish pinned really well. And as you notice, those are all kind of single hook applications. A little bit much in my opinion for a treble hook bait. Yeah, Extreme Mission Type F. That might be my recommendation for your first double X. If you're looking to jump into this series, that is probably your best bet for fishing across the board. Because back in the day when I was growing up, you know, I started off with a spinning rod, and then I could only afford to get one bait casting rod. And I wish this rod was available back then, because it would cover a wide spectrum of lure applications. So those of you guys looking to get into the sickness full bore, man, EMTF, check it. This right here is the perfect pitch. F5, 7'2". This is a stellar Texas rig rod, jig rod, and frog rod. It's got a lot of beef to it. It's rated 12 to 25. It's one of the more robust rods in the series. Very cool. Check this thing out, guys. This is the F6 711 launcher. This is your deep cranking specialist right here. Deep 6, Deep X300, but honestly I think I'm gonna love this rod for fishing the iSlide 185. It's still got that little bit of a parabolic tip to help keep those fish pinned like we always talk about, but it's got a lot more backbone than the previous version launcher, and there are times when I felt like that 185 was overpowering that rod. That's not going to be the case anymore. Crankbait specialist, check this thing out. And I'm sure I'm going to butcher this one, but I think this is the Aklis. What's your guess?
Aklis is what I believe
Aklis?
it is. Yeah, Aklis.
Okay.
Aklis. Aklis.
This is an F8 7'10". This is a beast of a rod right here. This pretty much replaces the flippin' special. It's got a little bit longer handle, which I like. A lot more robust. Flippin', pitchin', punchin', heavy cover, small to medium swim baits. This is gonna be the deal. Don't come here, Rick, because you're gonna end up buying more rods than you ever need. See this guy right here? He just pulled in. What's up, Rick?
What's up,
How you
fellas?
living, man?
Good, man.
Welcome to Wisconsin.
First time, just got here.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Awesome.
Aren't you glad I have some extra starter gear for you?
Yeah. I like how you're doing your video, right?
You know, got to do something productive. And then we got the F10 8-foot Leviathan. Big bait special right here. 8-inch mag draft, 10-inch mag draft, 9-inch mag slow, iSlide 262. This rod is probably the most versatile big bait rod that Megabass has come out with in the last few years. It should be able to handle a little bit of everything. Largemouth, big smallmouth, muskies, I actually caught a couple muskies on the prototype version of it last fall. So super stoked to see the finished production rod in hand. Just need to throw a reel on this bad boy and tie a big bait on and go to work. And that pretty much wraps up this selection of the Double X. I believe I'm missing 1 or 2 models, which was what again?
Bralist, and I don't know if there's any other ones.
The
Bralist. I don't know the difference.
I think I might have forgot to order 1 or 2 models, probably the Bralist. But Rick and I are gonna put these things to work over the next 3 days as we chase big smallmouth dreams. But also in this order is a couple of the Levante spinning rods. And as much as I cherish and enjoy fishing the higher end models like the Double X or the USA Destroyers or even some of the MOJ series, the Megabass Japan rods, the Levante rods are kind of underrated. They're really nice rods, and the spinning rods in particular I've become very fond of. And this Stinger Shot at 6'10", 4 to 12 pound line is a superb finesse rod. And all that super light stuff fishes incredibly well on the Levantes. Between these 2 spinning rods in the Levante series, like, you can cover most spinning rod applications. The Shaky Head Special fishes the Dark Sleeper, a weightless, dock crawler, good grief, tubes, small jig heads, the underspin, and at $200 across the board, like, they're a very affordable rod. So don't sleep on the Levantes. And also brand new are the new color Nano Jackets from Stormer. They have some kind of special name for this burgundy maroon color. I don't remember what it is at the top of my head, but you can find this along with all these other products in the description below. We've got links to every single one of these. Appreciate your guys' support. Hopefully you guys keep finding value in these videos. Lots of new stuff coming.
Like, subscribe, and comment.
And if you haven't already, subscribe, like, comment, hit that little bell thing so that you actually know when a video goes up, which is pretty much every day at 5 o'clock Pacific time. And we'll get...